How are you, everyone? My name is Tondre Kanyikanye. I'm a third-year student at the Midland State University in Zimbabwe. I'm doing Bachelor of Commerce Economics Honors degree. So this is going to be the first video on the channel. And today I'm going to talk about valuation of environmental goods or valuation of natural resources. So many people, when they hear of economists or when they think of economics, many of them they'll probably think of fiscal policy, monetary policy, investment analysis, financial econometrics, and so many other things. But in actual fact, in economics, we also consider the environment, because it is the environment which sustains all the economic activities. So without the environment, no economic growth will take place, no economic development will take place. So as economists, we don't ignore the environment. It is one of the most important resources around the world. So every day we interact with natural resources. We use natural resources. This could be in form of fresh air, firewood, hydrogenerated power. Remember, it is generated from water, which is part of the environment. So we can't ignore the environment. It is very fundamental for economic growth and development to take place. So today, as I said before, I'm going to talk about the valuation of natural resources or valuation of environmental goods. So unlike other goods, environmental goods are complicated. They don't have a market price. So if I ask someone today that what's the price of a tin of beans, I'll get a precise answer. That is a precise price for the price. But if I ask someone what's the value of fresh air, it becomes a complicated question. So let me go straight in today's business. So basically there are three methods that are being used to value environmental goods or natural resources. So the first one is called the hedonic pricing method. The second one is called the travel cost method, and finally we have the contingent valuation method. So these methods, all these three, they are different in coming up with the value of environmental goods. So for the contingent valuation method, it is a direct method of measuring the value of the environment, whereas the travel cost method and the hedonic pricing method are indirect methods, and they fall under stated preference and reviewed preference. So I'll start with the hedonic pricing method. So like I said before, the hedonic pricing method is one of the methods that is being used to measure the value of the environment. So noise, it doesn't have a market price, but it has an influence on the value of other market goods. So I'll give an example of buildings or houses. Usually houses that are located closer to the airport, they fetch a lower price compared to other houses that are located elsewhere. This is because the noise that takes place at the airport from the aircraft contributes to the value of the house, right? And houses that are usually located closer to the sea, where there are views of the sea, whereby someone can view the waves of the ocean. Usually those houses, they fetch a higher price uh, uh, than the houses elsewhere. Have you ever noticed that if you go to a hotel, let's say you go with your friend, probably in Cape Town, you go to a hotel that is closer to the sea. Some hotels, if you get a room that is to the seaside, it usually fetch a higher price than the room that is not located to the seaside. It is the same building, same temperature, same lighting and everything else, fresh air, everything else, but the fact that one is viewing the environment or is viewing the seas to the seaside, then means to say that room to the seaside will fetch a higher price. So in this regard, you can see that even the fresh air the view that we don't value is actually an asset that contributes to the value of certain commodities that are traded in economic markets. So I go on to the second method of measuring the environment, which is the travel cost method. So with the travel cost method, here we are incorporating the travel costs that are incurred by probably tourists when they visit a recreational area. So basically, the travel cost method is used to measure the value of recreational activities. For example, Great Zimbabwe. For example, another example is Victoria Falls. So what we do here is, suppose Victoria Falls, as an example, it is visited by people from as far as Canada, Australia, the UK, and other countries around the world. But if I take another example, say in Taraz Falls, it is probably visited by local people and some may be from other countries, but basically the majority of the people will be closer to that recreational site, right? So it then means to say the area that is being visited by people from a faraway area, that means to say it will fetch a higher value compared to that that will be visited by the local people. I move on to the third method, which is called the contingent valuation method. So the contingent valuation method, its premise is very straightforward. It says if you want to know the value of something, you just ask people what they think about that certain product or that certain commodity. So in this regard, we are talking of environmental goods, we are talking of the natural environment. So it is basically used to measure the value of environmental goods like wildlife, fresh air, and others. So suppose we want to know the value that people place on wildlife. You know, agriculture and wildlife compete for scarce land in Zimbabwe. So, and these wildlife reserves, they are located in the rural areas. So for one to carry out a contingent valuation study, one has to visit the area. It's not something that you use secondary data. So upon visiting the area, one has to ask questions to the people who interact with that commodity or with that environmental good. So like I said, let's say you want to know the value that people place on elephants. So suppose it is Devuli Range in Masvingo, down in Bikita. So one has to go there and ask the people what they think about the product. So here we are talking of the willingness to pay and the willingness to accept. So like I said, environment, wildlife preservation or wildlife conservation, it competes with agricultural activities in the rural areas. It means if the elephants destroy the crops of the peasant farmers in the rural areas, it means the people will regard the elephants as a nuisance. Whereas if they don't destroy their crops, the people actually regard the elephants uh, as a public good. Remember, in economics, there are terms like the public good, a public bad. So if they destroy their crops, the elephants will be regarded as a public bad, and if they not, they will be regarded as a public good. One example where the contingent valuation method was used was the incident of uh, Exxon Valdez ship, which spilled oil in pristine waters, and it resulted in the death of marine fish, plants, and other uh, animals. So after that, a contingent valuation study was carried out, and the company that spilled the waters in the pristine waters was supposed to pay 5 billion US dollars. So in this regard, we now understand or we now appreciate the importance of the environment. So it is therefore imperative whenever we do our activities in the whenever we do our economic activities, let's remember it is the environment that sustains our economic activities. Every day we talk about the environment. We use the environment. We generate money from the environment. But do we really understand its importance? Here comes the question, and the apparent answer is no. So from today onwards, I'll be taking you through environmental economics as it is one of the global topics, or one of the global fields that needs greater attention in the world. Because remember, if we pollute emission, or if we emit pollutants in the environment or in the atmosphere, what will happen is that they will spread as far as to other countries. So it is a global concern. So when we talk of the environment, it's something that everyone has to be aware of. So this is the first video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss future uploads. Thank you very much. See you.